opinion on why exactly do you think that Lyor Cohen would pick Funkmaster Flex to send shots, particularly at Damon Dash, out of all the other people? Why do you think he would do that?
Well, he couldn't use Charlemagne. That's first, as we saw. You know, you have to get someone that's willing to go out there and fight your battle. And it seems as if Funkmaster Flex was willing to do that for whatever reason. He might have had some monetary reason. He might have threw him a little money, or maybe told him he would put him in a position that he's not in right now, that he can make his life better. And so, and we see this all the time where people move based on the bag. You know what I'm saying? They move based on the paper bag, you know, the under the table money, and they'll sell their people out, you know, and that's what we're seeing when you're seeing the situation with Funkmaster Flex. You're seeing the epitome, the real true sellout situation. You were seeing a real true sellout situation when you're seeing Funkmaster Flex move like that, speaking on business that's not even his business and using his platform to spread this message. You know, I think it's irresponsible. I think, like, again, I said, I think it's disgusting that he's being used by them to downplay what Dame and Jay-Z and Biggs put together, and putting everything on Dame, you know, because as you know, within business, he's not the only piece to the puzzle. There's other pieces to the puzzle. He's a big piece to the puzzle, but he's not the only piece to the puzzle. Let's just be clear here. Like, let's understand that, you know, you can't do anything by yourself. You need a team to help.
Let's talk about his puzzle a little bit, because that leads me into my next question. You talked about Charlemagne the God in 105.1, and we've been very critical about our boys over there at Hot 97. Now, I've said that they're cavemen. I said that they are way past their prime, and it's time for a lot of them over there, in particular Funkmaster Flex and Ebro, to go. Do you think that this was a plot on Lyor Cohen's part and Hot 97's part to gain publicity on a dying brand, in my opinion? Now, that being said, Hot 97 has a great website and things like that. I'm talking in regards to YouTube numbers, social media, the youth, today's standard, and how you listen and watch hip hop. Do you think that they're failing in that? Do you think that this was a publicity stunt in their regard?
Absolutely a publicity stunt. It was absolutely meant to spread a message to discredit independence, to discredit the message that I sat with Dame Dash with, and Dame had before he even met me, and before they went back when they started Rockefeller, to discredit the message of independence, for you to etch in your mind that you need them in order to be successful, to continue that legacy. That legacy only helps them in the end, as you see. You see what I'm saying? It's like we help them by getting on their fields, we're playing their games, we're on their courts, we're within their companies, and in the end, you see a lot of our people, they're broke. They don't have anything to look forward to. The people that really get paid the real dollars are the people that own the companies, that own these football fields and these stadiums and these arenas, and own the team and all this stuff. And then in the end, they give these guys a little dollar and say, here's a little money for you, you know, but they're giving people money without any form of education, as far as for any financial education. You know, because as you all know, growing up in the hood, you know, like most of these people that are in entertainment, most of us, we're only products of what we grew up with. Our point of reference had to make things stretch. Our point of reference had to do what we had to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all came up in this, but mama had to cook pots of food in order to feed us. And we ate that pot of food until it was gone. You see what I'm saying? There wasn't no spoiling going on for some reason. You know what I'm saying? We had 4 days in the same pot, you know? So you got these people that don't know anything, don't have financial literacy. Just don't have it. You know what I mean? They're financially illiterate. And so we got to, you know, when you're giving people that type of money and you're throwing them out in the streets and you're saying, hey, here you go do what you have to do. What happens is we try to put a Band-Aid over the pain through the things we buy. You know, the things that we didn't have when we were younger, we try to supply that hole that's in our lives because we didn't have the things we wanted when we were growing up through materialism. You know, saying we buying cars, clothes, you know, we're spending big money on, and you know, and it's a circulatory process because we're spending the money back with them, and it comes back through them. And then you're talking about companies that are the foundation of the prison industrial system. So they're putting rappers out to talk all this rah-rah and all this gangster stuff, you know what I'm saying, and keeping people filled up, filling their psyche up with all this gangster talk and all this drug deal talk. And it's like another circle that takes place. It's like we're hearing it because it's pumping in your brain. And a lot of people are easily influenced. Not all people, but a lot of people. Let's just say majority are easily influenced by what they hear, see, and whatever's around their circle. You know what I'm saying? As we should know. And so, you know, we have to understand that when anytime you hear something coming from them, you have to question it. Question anything you hear coming from them. You know what I'm saying? And even with Funkmaster Flex, these are pawns. They're pawns. Funkmaster Flex is a pawn, regardless of what age he is. A pawn is a pawn. You know, he's being used to bring forth a certain message to downplay independence, to downplay self-care, you know, because if you look at it, he's not talking about anything that uplifts people. He's talking about all day, talking about freestyles and what somebody did. I mean, like, come on, man. Like, it's enough distractions. And look when the distraction is coming in December, right before your so-called New Year's resolution. The resolution should be every as soon as you want to make it, really. But you know what I'm saying? It's a distraction and keeps people focused on the silly shit instead of focusing on themselves and building a better situation for themselves as well as their families.
Absolutely. Talk about that though, like the beast. Because one thing that Dame, he said this a long time ago, and he even said it recently. He talked about how different people, in particular Lyor Cohen, are now paying rappers or even igniting beasts, and kind of just sitting back and benefiting and getting the bag off of it. And they get all the money, but it gets serious because guys are dying in the street. Yeah. You know, people's getting all types of threats. Talk about that whole thing about, you know, Lyor Cohen paying people to beef and respond to people that made a diss record.
That was interesting. Dame brought that to my attention a long time ago, and you know, another situation that was disgusting to me because, as we all know, beef sells, and we learned that not too long ago with Tupac as well as Biggie. You know, that situation, if you really look under the hood, I'm sure that made so much money that to this day they're trying to still get things to that level. Whoever they can get to beef, whoever they can get to talk about each other. And don't get me wrong, there are times where people have disagreements and they don't really get along, you know, but it seems as if it's only the rappers that do that because you didn't really hear about the Temptations having beef with the Four Tops like that. You didn't hear about Marvin Gaye having beef with Isaac Hayes and stuff like that. And I'm sure maybe these people did have disagreements, but it's being sold, filth is being sold, so because they want to continue to fill our minds up as Black people in the streets with the filth so we can also approach it the same way they're approaching it and continue to have beef amongst our community with people in our communities. You know what I'm saying? It's like again, a circulatory process. It's like if they fill you up with so much garbage, garbage in is garbage out. Input is output. You see what I'm saying? So if I can keep feeding you garbage, how do you really expect your life to be if you're influenced by the garbage I'm feeding you? The screen of your life is going to be chaotic. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a mess. You know what I'm saying? Because input always leads to output. And that's why they share all these things with us and put all this beef in our face and who's talking about who and who did what. And, oh, now Funkmaster Flex is beef. It went beyond the mic. I mean, beyond music. Now it's a radio DJ getting at a guy that's independent, mind his own business, taking care of his children. You know, for someone that put a battery in his back because he talked about him within his book, and he has every right to because he had an experience with this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's like telling a young lady if she's been molested by somebody that she can't talk about the guy that molested her. She has every damn right to speak about the guy that did any damage to her growing up. In the same way, Dame had a right to speak about the torturous interference that was going on at Rockefeller through Def Jam. He has a right to speak on that because he built that company by his hands. Some people say because they were selling drugs beforehand, that's a problem. But we're talking about people that put their minds together to bring forth something, you know, and they were young men. So, you know, it's not about me sitting here to be moral. Oh, well, the moral of it is they shouldn't have did this. Nah, I'm not getting into all that because that's irrelevant. They did what they had to do. Like a lot of people in the hood. You already know.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just what it is.
What does it say to the power of hip hop that